Hi, I'm Shelley Young, owner of the Chopping Block, and today I'm going to teach you how to make a classic sugar cookie. Everybody at the Chopping Block knows I don't really like to make cookies, so I like this recipe because it's a really simple recipe. I can put it together really quickly. It's also great with or without decorations. We're not decorating today, again, from a non-cookie maker, so this will be perfect. I've got a commercial stand mixer, but you can use a hand mixer as well for this. And my first ingredient here is a stick and a quarter of unsalted butter that's been brought to room temperature. It really is best if you actually go through the effort to bring the butter to room temperature versus put it in the microwave. The texture of the cookie comes out a little bit better. So I'm going to start by putting that in there. I've got a half cup of granulated white sugar, and I've got a quarter cup of brown sugar. This is dark brown sugar. You can use light brown sugar as well. That's the little difference in this cookie. That brown sugar creates a little bit more of a moist, chewy sugar cookie, which I love about it. So we're going to turn the stand mixer on, and we're going to cream these ingredients together for about 5 minutes. Next thing I'm going to do is add an egg and vanilla. So I've got 1 egg, which I always like to break in a separate dish, just in case I get a shell in there. It's much easier to get it out of this bowl than it is to get it out of that bowl. And we have some then vanilla here, 1½ teaspoons of vanilla extract. And we're going to beat those ingredients in. So we've added our egg and our vanilla, and you can see after beating this for a few minutes it's gotten even lighter and fluffier. What I'm going to do next is scrape down the sides of this bowl and add our dry ingredients. In a separate bowl, I've taken 2 cups of flour, a ½ teaspoon of salt, and baking powder. We used 1 teaspoon, and I just put that in a bowl and have mixed it together with a whisk. I'm going to add that to our wet ingredients. I'm going to mix this now for just until it's combined. So I've added my dry ingredients and I blended that just until it came together. In the recipe it says 1 to 2 tablespoons of milk, and I don't always add that. What I do is I look to see if all of the ingredients come together. If you see any dry kind of flour in the bottom of that bowl, it's an indication it just needs a little bit more moisture. But I can feel there's just a nice moisture to this, so I don't need to add any more milk, or any milk I should say, today. So my dough is done. What I want to do next, most importantly, at least what I always do, is I eat some. Oh, that's delicious. Now I'm going to take this dough and divide it in half and chill these sections, each of these discs, for about 2 hours. You can also chill it overnight if you want to. I had wrapped that in saran wrap before I refrigerated just so it doesn't dry out. Now this dough is nice and chilled. Now this is where most people would then let the dough set out and get warmed up, and what happens then is the dough gets really sticky, starts to crack, and you have all kinds of problems. It's nice and chilled all the way through right now. So I'm going to show you a little technique. This is the same one we use for our pie dough when we make pie dough, because we also like to chill that very thoroughly as well. I lightly flour my cutting board, not heavily but really lightly so it doesn't stick, and I take this dough, which is, you know, really hard, and I beat it. Just beating that a little bit feels really good, number one. Number two is it just allows the dough to be a little more pliable when I roll it. I'm not doing any fancy shapes today. I'm just going to do a circle, but you could of course get creative with that if you choose. So I'm going to roll these out to about a ¼ inch of thickness and cut them into shapes and put them on a parchment lined sheet pan. So as you're rolling, a lot of times what happens is you'll get a little crack start to form in the center. Don't worry about that. Just pinch it back together. Once I have a even consistency, make sure before you start cutting that your dough isn't stuck to the cutting board. going to just start cutting up my shapes. And I'm going to pop these in the oven at 350 degrees. We're going to check them about 8 minutes, 8 to 12 minutes cooking time. So our cookies have been baking. These were about 10 minutes, but I do think that varies depending on your oven. Using a convection oven, maybe drop the temperature 25 degrees to 325. May take a minute less, but not much more than that. We're going to take our sugar cookies. We're going to put them onto cooling racks. We're going to let those cool unless you eat them first. And as soon as those are done, they're ready to eat or decorate if you choose. They also freeze great. So for the holidays, I love to bake cookies and freeze them ahead. And that is how you make sugar cookies.